They say evil announces itself with chaos, screaming, blood, thunder. But sometimes, it whispers. It hides behind quiet eyes and polite smiles. If you saw him, you'd think he was harmless, a thin, pale kid who never raised his voice. But I know better now. Because for half a semester, I sat beside a monster, and never even knew. This happened back in 2012, small town Australia. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and nothing ever happens, until it does. I had just transferred into a new school for my senior years. I was the try-hard type, always top of my English class, always trying too hard to impress teachers who didn't care. Our deputy principal, Mr. Clark, picked a handful of advanced students for a pilot class, all digital. No books. Just iPads. Back then, I thought it was futuristic. Now, I think it was a mistake that's where I met Eli. He was quiet. Not shy, not awkward, just absent, like his mind lived somewhere else. He sat at the edge of the room, back half-slouched in his chair, fingers flicking across his screen while the rest of us debated metaphors and Shakespeare. I never heard him laugh. Never saw him smile. He wasn't weird, he was just empty. One day, during some dumb class discussion about pets, everyone was sharing pictures of their cats or dogs. When it got to him, he didn't say a word. Just tilted his iPad, flicking through something I couldn't quite see. I caught a glimpse, and I wish I hadn't. That it was fast, like a flash of static on a TV, but what I saw didn't look like a dog being played with. It looked like something being hurt. At first, I thought I imagined it. Maybe it was just my mind playing tricks. But later that night, that image wouldn't leave me. Something about his calm, the way his fingers moved across the glass, too deliberate. Too comfortable. A week later, he stopped coming to school. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. At first, I didn't care. I wasn't his friend. But when weeks passed and no one said a word, curiosity turned to unease. I asked Mr. Clark where he was. He looked at me like I'd said something offensive, rolled his eyes and walked off. I thought he was just being his usual arrogant self, but there was something in that reaction, something like fear. A few days later, my friend Nate pulled me aside during lunch. He wasn't joking this time, no smirk, no sarcasm. He told me he used to hang out with Eli before the semester started. Said one afternoon, during summer break, he'd gone over to his house, small, silent, no parents around. He spilled a glass of milk by accident. Eli didn't laugh. He didn't even flinch. He just stood up, grabbed a kitchen knife, pressed it against Nate's throat, and told him to clean it. At knife point I remember laughing nervously, like it was a joke. But Nate didn't blink. Then he told me the rest, about the iPad, the videos. Hundreds of them. All showing things too horrific to repeat, animals he'd trapped, tortured, filmed. Dogs, mostly. The same creatures he'd pretend to scroll past during class. It made me sick. And then Nate said something that froze my blood. Eli had a list. A bucket list, he called it. At the very top, move on to humans. The police raided his house a week later. He was arrested for animal cruelty, though most of what they found never made it to the news. They said he'd been using the abandoned paddock behind our school, the one where my friends and I used to hang out to smoke, as his hunting ground. We'd been maybe 50 meters away from his experiments, laughing, passing a joint, while he was out there, doing that. That thought still keeps me up some nights. That I'm 27 now. I still can't walk past an empty lot without picturing his face, those hollow eyes, that slow grin. Sometimes, when I see someone flicking through their phone too quietly, I feel that same chill crawl up my spine. Because evil doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it sits beside you in class, silent, patient, scrolling. And the worst part? You never realize what it really is until it's too late. That if you'd been in my place, if you'd seen what I saw, would you have noticed something was off? Or would you have sat there too, laughing at cat videos, while a monster scrolled through his own?